Because, for example, when I was born in 1963, India was a poor country. We had famines. We were not so strong in military terms, but in that country, rapists were not garlanded. In that country, lynching was not celebrated. Bulldozers were not clapped. In that country, if you were elected by a party, however small that party was, you went and spoke for that party, you went and spoke for the persons. In that country, it was not the case that a party that cannot even get the votes equivalent to Nota controls all the members of parliament in Delhi. This did not happen there. So we owe an apology to the youth that कि हमने उन्हें कम से कम वैसा मुल्क नहीं दिया जो हमें बचपन में मिला था. And therefore, I think it should be the responsibility of all of us, people like me with some gray hair. It should be our responsibility for the rest of whatever remains in our life to try and give back to them the country that we inherited. And it is from this perspective that I speak today. I really think that we should try and understand this youth protest in its broader frame. What we are being told is very simple story. There is this young man, that Chief Justice of India says cockroaches. A young man called Dipke sitting in US starts Cockroach Janta Party, and youth of this country align behind him. That is not the entire story. That is just the occasion. That is just the trigger. Like they say in the World War First, why did World War I begin? Because someone in Sarajevo shot a prince. No, that was just the trigger. That was not the cause of the First World War. So, this cockroach and CJP is not the big story. The big story is something else. The big story is India's transition from being a competitive authoritarian state to an electoral autocracy. What is a competitive authoritarian state? Because we often talk of from democracy to dictatorship. These are words that we often use. But actually those words are not very meaningful in today's world. Because there is no democracy, no full pure democracy in this world anymore. An old style dictatorship does not exist. When someone would come in a uniform and say from tomorrow martial law, censorship, no, that kind of a dictatorship has become unfashionable. In today's world, everything is smart. Children are smart, phones are smart, dictators are also smart. So you have to identify in between stages between democracy and dictatorship. One stage is competitive authoritarianism. What is that? It is a country which for all practical purposes is an authoritarian country, but where multi-party elections take place, and occasionally the ruling party can lose elections. Occasionally, not always. This is what happened in Hungary. This is what happens even today in Turkey. This is what happens in... From 2019 till 2024 or 2026 has been a competitive authoritarian state. But after 2024, when BJP receives a shock, 400 par becomes 240. So there is a shock. BJP says ये तो नहीं चलेगा, कुछ तो करना होगा. So the design failed. The design in 2024 was not an election. It was a plebiscite. The idea was to get, in property dealing they call it general power of attorney. Mr. Modi wanted a general power of attorney from the people of India to do whatever he wanted to do in this country. He managed to become the Prime Minister, but he did not get the general power of attorney. People said you go and rule, but no, you don't have a full freedom. Now there is a problem. The BJP says, oh Baba, you can have shocks in election. The BJP can manage everything. They can manage big industrialists. They can manage the media. They can manage bureaucracy. They can manage the election commission. But they cannot manage the people of India. So that is a problem. So BJP says, okay, we did not succeed in getting general power of attorney in 2024. Now we have to do something to ensure that we have permanent majority in this country. So elections should happen, because in 21st century every dictator needs to carry out elections. This is a 21st century model of dictatorship. Every dictator holds elections regularly. So BJP says, can we do something so that elections always take place, but we always get majority? So match should happen, but my team should win. Both conditions. Match must happen regularly, but my team must always win. And for that, BJP has brought up delimitation can take place only after 2026. The first census held after 2026 can be the basis of delimitation. And once delimitation happens, what would happen? Kerala from 20 to 12. Tamil Nadu from 39 to 31. Andhra from 25 to 22. Telangana 17 to 15. Odisha from 21 to 18. Bengal from 42 to 38. Karnataka from 26 to 24. Punjab from 13 to 12. Do you notice? All these are states where BJP either does not win or is not confident of a permanent victory. All those states where BJP is weak, the number of seats of those states will be reduced. And who are the gainers? The entire North Indian and West Indian belt is the gainer. So this is delimitation. And what is one nation, one election? One nation, one election is about ensuring that the problem of election is to be faced only once in 5 years. So that Mr. Modi is not tested every 8 months or every 10 months. Now in Bengal, then in UP, then in Bihar, then in some other state. It's too much problem for Modi ji. Let us hold elections only once in 5 years, all assemblies, all parliament, every election to be held on one day. What is the advantage? The advantage is that if you hold elections only once in 5 years, all the elections, then it can be managed. Some Pulwama can happen, some Balakot may be can happen. What do you know? Any accident can take place in this country. We don't know. So you can use all kinds of money. Just manage it once, and then 4 years, 9 months at the height of military dictatorship in Pakistan, when Pakistan was being Islamicized, when wearing a sari used to be a un-Islamic activity. At that time, Iqbal Bano wore a black sari, went and sang this song, Hum Dekhenge. And if you manage to see the correct recording on YouTube, it's an 11-minute recording. Just check that out. In the middle of the recording, people start shouting slogans against Ziaul Haq. Suddenly that music concert becomes a political protest. And it becomes more powerful than anything that Pakistan had seen at that time. This is how the balloon of dictatorship is punctured. A joke, a meme, a song that punctures the balloon. This is what cockroach is all about. It is that little oil pin which has pricked the balloon of dictatorship authoritarianism in this country. Therefore, like my friend said, I do not see this as a CJP protest. Yes, CJP is important. They started it and I salute it. I salute CJP. I particularly welcome what they are doing now, which is going to schools and auditing them. Going to government schools of rural India and doing an audit of those schools is one of the best forms of revolutionary activity in this country. CJP is doing it, I salute them. I salute the youth of Jharkhand who protested against another kind of injustice of the same kind. But this activity is happening all over. In Jantar Mantar, there were so many organizations who were involved in Jantar Mantar protest. And outside Jantar Mantar, there are so many different kinds of groups that are taking over and doing things. Day before yesterday in Rajasthan, as many of you must have seen, they go to check a school and BJP sends its goons to beat them up. The government puts posters to say you will not be allowed to visit schools, because some people of my generation would remember that advertisement. This was a family planning advertisement. Hum do, hamare do. What is happening in this country is exactly this. Hum do sitting in Delhi, who are looking after hamare do sitting in Gujarat. This is hum do, hamare do ki sarkar. For 4 years and 9 months, you don't have to bother about any such thing. Just hum do, hamare do run this country. And then 3 months you manage something. Pakistan se ladai ho jayegi, China se ho jayegi, some major communal issue, some Hindu ki ye ho gaya, and then the country is managed. So, the larger context is that this country's electoral democracy is being engineered, changed in order to permanently favor the ruling party. But the people of India are beginning to be uneasy. So it is like a pot. The pot is boiling but the lid is very tight. The pot is boiling more than earlier. The lid is more tight than earlier. This is the situation in this country. So what happens when something like this happens? Something bursts. कहीं छेद हो जाता है अचानक, you don't know where. Suddenly the steam starts coming out from somewhere. This is the Gen Z movement of this country. The steam, the unease of this society about everything which was not being expressed, this had to find a way out. There had to be some occasion. And as my friend Sukumar reminds us, that it started with a joke is not an accident. All over the world, authoritarian governments do not fear the opposition. They do not fear ideologies. They do not fear intellectuals. They fear comedians. It is a fact. If you have heard Iqbal Bano sing that famous song, Hum Dekhenge, it's in Hindi, so may not connect to every one of you. But I would very strongly recommend to all of you, to young people, the school, nothing is happening in those schools. In Andhra too? Yes. So to my mind, what is happening is not only Delhi, Jantar Mantar, CJP. That is the most visible part of it. The real thing is the full iceberg. At least to my knowledge, more than 100 cities in India had protest on 20th or 21st of July. Millions of young Indians have participated in these activities. They say this Gen Z movement is about paper leak. I don't agree. No, it is not about paper leak. Paper leak is again just a symptom. It is about the leakage of the entire system. Education system leaks, job situation leaks, this democracy leaks. In Hindi I say, ये जो लोकतंत्र लीक तंत्र बन गया है इस देश में, उसके खिलाफ प्रोटेस्ट. Above all, it is about education and employment. Basically, the future of this country is asking, do I have any future? That is the real issue. Paper leak is only a small symptom of that deeper, larger question that they are asking. What has this movement already done? This movement has already shown us that divisive politics is not acceptable. I heard a new slogan given by young people. When I was young and we used to protest, we used to say, सरकार जब जब डरती है, पुलिस को आगे करती है. This was our earlier slogan. This time I heard a new slogan. मोदी जब जब डरता है, हिंदू मुस्लिम करता है. Young people had given this slogan. I had never heard this before. But this captures the essence of that. The young people are now saying politics of divide and rule is not acceptable to them. The young people are also saying that mainstream media is irrelevant in this country. Yes, I know many friends from media are there, and I do not equate media with journalists. Journalists are doing their duty just like teachers do their duty, doctors do their duty. They are not running the establishment. But the establishment called media, mainstream media in this country, should be ashamed of how they covered this youth protest. Just as they should be ashamed of how they had covered the farmers' protest in this country. But just as farmers' movement had done at a higher scale, what the youth have done is, all right, this is how you are going to cover it. You don't matter, you don't exist, get to side. Movement became the media. Movement does not need a media. This is the success and power of this movement. This movement exposed the real character of this regime. 20th July must have been the most videographed police action in the history of this country. So many videos are floating and they have no way of controlling it now. You are brutal, you suppress the youth, and you cannot hide it. Earlier you could do it. You can do it to Adivasis and no one in Delhi gets to know this. You can do to Dalits and no one in this mainstream media covers it. But when you do it on the streets of Delhi, to middle class children, mostly coming from whose parents are BJP voters, when you do it, and when, I think lakhs of videos are being made, you cannot hide it. When you use pellet guns, no matter what you do, you cannot hide the fact that you used pellet guns against unarmed young people of this country. And when you try to suppress it, it reveals your character even more. Have you seen that video of that young 15-year-old young girl? हो गई, मुझे माफ कर दो, मेरे से जीवन में इतनी बड़ी गलती कभी नहीं हुई. That one video tells you the character of this regime, because you can see who and what is behind the camera, how much of terror, how much of oppression and suppression these people use. This has been watched by the youth of this country. They will never forget it. You see, it is one thing to give people lies about things that they don't see with their own eyes. When someone says, we have given a fitting reply to China in Ladakh, I believe it. I don't live in Ladakh. I don't know what's happening there. You must be right. When they say India has become $1 trillion economy, I believe it. हो ही गया होगा भाई, ठीक ही बता रहे हैं, डेटा है. My village is not rich, but others must have been rich. I believe it. But when you tell me that Delhi police has been very humane with the children, then I say, यार ये तो हद हो गई, मैंने तो अपनी आंख से देखा है. This is a lie. And when I dispatch one lie, then I start thinking maybe everything else is also a lie. This is the character about truth, no? You pick one small element and you say, ये तो झूठ बोल रहा है. Then next time, even if he says the truth, I say, हो सकता है झूठ ही. So, the lies, the empire of hatred and lies that they have built has been fractured. I would not say it has been demolished, but it has been fractured. And the fear that they had instilled, the fear that our generation had accepted, I must salute the young people that they refuse to accept that fear. They have broken that fear. And the manner in which on the streets of Delhi, young people, I was with them, there were tear gases were being lobbed, and I was with all these young people at that point. I was occasionally saying to them, Baba, just come to the side, थोड़ा सड़क के side पे हो जाओ, तुम्हारे ऊपर लग जाएगा ये वो. They were not scared. Everyone, this generation knows more about all these techniques of identification and surveillance, but no one was using a mask to hide their face. A very well-deserved victory. I salute those who are going to schools to check what the quality of schools is. But our duty does not stop there. And I want to therefore conclude by talking about what should we be doing? What is the way forward? And I will start with what my friend Sukumar said, which is, if the youth are saying something to us, as I said, I started my speech by talking about guilt and apology. Honestly, all of us who have some gray hair, हम सबको शर्म आनी चाहिए. हम अपने बच्चों को वो इंडिया नहीं दे पा रहे हैं जिस इंडिया में हम पैदा हुए थे. We need to do something better. All of us fortunately have some years left. Maybe 10, 15, 20, whatever is left for us. I think we should all make it a mission कि जब मेरी मौत हो, when I die, at least I should be able to say, okay, I gave you the India that I received. Maybe I made it 1 degree better. At least 1 degree better. This should be our mission. And if this is the mission, then we should do the following. Number 1, please forget our ideological certainties. I know many of us sitting in this room, many I personally recognize, we have all believed in this ism or that ism. Marxism, socialism, Ambedkarite, feminist, environmentalism, all kinds of isms we have believed in. We have tried to teach it to the youth. It did not register to them. We kept saying, tum ye sikho. They did not take it. But now that they are teaching us something, one of the first things they are saying is, please do not fight your ideological battles the way you had fought it in the past. I'm not saying ideologies do not matter. What I'm saying is, when my house is on fire, then there are only 2 camps. I see only 2 kinds of people. Someone who's moving around with a bottle of petrol, who's trying to put more petrol on the fire, and someone who is coming with a bucket of water. These are the only 2 parties. That day I do not ask, why is the bucket blue? Why is it green? I don't ask these questions. My house is on fire. You have come with water. Your bucket may have any color. You are my brother, you are my friend, you are my comrade. We will fight it together. This has to be the spirit in which we fight this battle. Because please remember, the foundations of this country are being challenged right now. It is not merely about this party or that party. It is India which is being challenged. The foundations of our republic are being challenged. And therefore, we have to all come together. And therefore, all these ideologies that we have believed in, we should continue to believe in. But we should have in mathematics they used to say LCM. For all the things, lowest common denominator. Take out something common that connects everything. And what is that? Preamble to the Constitution of India. Let that be the ideology we start with. All other battles we'll fight in closed rooms. But in public, we will fight only one battle to defend the constitution of this country, the preamble to the constitution of this country. Let that be the only ism that we need and we believe in. We have to find some way of conveying it to the young people. They are great, they have done something marvelous. Whatever knowledge we have, we should find some way of connecting it to them. In that, we have started an initiative. I will just mention it to you. Some 5-6 months ago, before this Gen Z movement, we started something called Ghana. It is not a party, not a political organization, and it says whichever organization you belong to, you are SFI, AISF, SPDO, what was that organization? PDSO of Banu. Whichever organization you belong to, lovely, please stay with your organization, raise your flag very high. But for this basic understanding of constitutional values and our democracy, let us find some way of imparting that to the young people of this country. That will be the contribution of people who have gray hair. Let us pass it on before we die. This is our duty. So for that we have created a vehicle, Janaganamana. I would request, it's just that we hold a series of meetings, invite, a 4-hour meeting, 2-day camp, 10-day camp. We tried it. A few months ago, I said to young people that, do you want to learn about politics and constitution of the Republic of India? It's no certificate, no course, no degree. You want to learn? 1,900 young people applied. We gave online training to them. We invited about 100 of them, took them to Himachal, we spoke to them. And after that, I came back so confident. This is before the Gen Z thing. I came back so confident that no, young people of this country know a lot. They are responsible. They may not speak, but they are thinking exactly the way they should be thinking. This is what we need to take to the entire country. I would request Dr. Allah to please organize one such camp only for young people, 100 young people, bring them for 2 days. I will happily come, spend my time, I have honestly decided this is my mission for the rest of my life. This is the main mission that I have. Pass it on to the young people. Before we go, this is one duty all of us have. Before we go, pass it on, give it to them. So this is one initiative that we want to undertake. You may not like Janaganaman, you start something on your own. You call it anything you want to do. Doesn't matter. Jhanda, letterhead, these are of no consequence. The second thing that we need to do is to put energy behind what the young people are doing. Instead of standing ahead of them, let us learn to stand behind them. They are going to schools to verify the schools. Ask them to also go to colleges. These private colleges run by politicians, all of them, business making propositions, all illegal profit making institutions which pass off as university and colleges. They are all shops, they are not colleges or universities. These are all commercial establishments. These are shops. Why don't we go and audit them as well? Absolutely, yes, this is mafia. Not say pariksha, sir, shiksha mafia. The whole thing is a mafia. All patronized by politicians. So let us, of the changes that this new generation seeks to make, for far too long, people like us have been eminent speakers. I think it is time we should become eminent listeners. Let them speak. We should become listeners. In fact, we organized an online program 2-3 weeks ago, where we invited eminent people. Shabana Azmi agreed, Prashant Bhushan agreed, and we said your job is just to listen to the youth. You are eminent listeners. Young people will speak, you will simply listen to them. And they did. So I think we need to change our public culture. हमने बहुत ज्ञान दे लिया young लोगों को. No more ज्ञान. I think we should take some ज्ञान for them. Because as I say in Hindi, ये काले बाल वालों ने सफेद बाल वालों को पॉलिटिक्स सिखा दी है. Things have changed. So we should acknowledge, we should respect it. And I think for one good reason, I say this about myself, and I say this for my generation. I said this on 20th of July from Jantar Mantar stage, when the march to the parliament was about to begin. Then some of us spoke from the stage. I also spoke there. And I said one thing. I said, on behalf of my generation, I want to offer an apology to the young people of this country. And what is the apology? The apology is that my generation has failed to pass on the kind of nation that we had inherited to this new generation. It should be the duty of every new generation to ensure that they at least pass on the same quality of country to their next generation.
Request Vijayawada garu, liberation kanal. Please come on to this.
These are changes in Desha, Kala and Patra. What are these three changes? Delimitation, one nation, one election, and SIR. These are three ways of changing the constitutional architecture so that the floor of elections is tilted, so that wherever you pour water, water will come here. So you would have matches, you would have elections, but the result finally will work for BJP. This is what is happening. The entire architecture of electoral democracy is being distorted in order to produce a permanent majority for the BJP. SIR is nothing but a way of curating the voters list. In the past, voters chose the government. Now the government will choose the voters. I think this is weird. That is, sir. Yes, government is now choosing who the voter will be. The ruling party will choose if she can contest election or not. If I don't like you, your nomination paper will be rejected. If this is the way you want to hold elections, then China also holds election. This is exactly the Chinese Communist Party's model of holding election. We decide who the candidates will be. We decide who the voters will be. Now let us have elections. This is SIR. What is delimitation? Delimitation is about ensuring that those regions and states in the country which do not favor the BJP on an enduring basis, their strength should be reduced. If delimitation takes place on the basis of 2027 census, which is what Modi is trying to do. That is why the talking about Bal Narendra, they were doing all kinds of things. Later on, now the regime says, oh Baba, they are giving galis. Yes, no gali, no abuse, no bad words should be encouraged and should not be promoted. But please remember that the importance of gali lies in the power equation. When a zamindar, a landlord of the village, raises his eyebrows to the poorest landless labor, it can be fatal. And when the poorest of the poor gives a gali to zamindar, it can be an act of freedom and liberation. This is what was happening on the streets of Delhi. The language may not have been good, but these fellows who have been using all kinds of language for everyone in this country for the last 10 years, suddenly they have problem with the language used by girls. You don't know anything. Exactly. Sharam aani chahiye. This is what you've been doing. And if the women of this country have picked up the courage to talk back to you, it should be a matter of celebration for this country. That this is what. So this movement has broken that spell of fear. And as I said, to a dictator, if you say you are oppressive, he would say, ha ha. You say you are undemocratic, he would say, ah. You say you are merciless, he would smile. And if you say you are a joker, that he would not be able to take. This is what is the worst thing to any dictator in the world. If you can say, here is a joker, no dictator can take this. And you must have seen the Prime Minister's own videos after that. You know, he's trying to do Instagram, he's trying to do this. I mean, he's lost his sense of balance. This is the achievement of, these are not small things, these are very big things. This is the achievement. So I salute the young people. I salute the young people of Delhi Jantar Mantar. I salute the youths throughout this country which has waged this battle, institutions of this country. That would be great. But we need to do something else. I call it dard ka dard se rishta. When I have a problem, I stand up, I protest. That's a normal thing. He has a problem, he stands up, and I keep quiet. That is a normal thing. But when I have a problem and he stands up, that is what makes politics. That is what makes beautiful transformative politics. In this country, there are all kinds of issues. The youth are asking about education and employment. Another part of the youth is concerned about environment and climate. There are issues of the farmers, issues of the workers. Remember what happened in Noida? I don't know how many of that news reaches here. The manner in which workers in Noida have been treated just for demanding minimum wages. Legal minimum wages is all that they were demanding. The way they have been treated. If the young people could stand with them, no one would have the courage to touch them. So what we need to do is to make a garland. Connect one pain with another pain, with another pain, with another pain. Connect the youth to farmers, to workers, to Dalits, to Adivasis, to minorities, to women, to LGBTQ. Connect all of them. You touch one and everyone else will stand up. Once you do that, then you have done something very big. Currently, This Gen Z protest, I don't even know the word Gen Z. And it's only recently that I learned that in America, they don't say XYZ, they say XYZ. That is why it is Gen Z. I used to say it's Gen Z, but this is Gen Z because of that American lingo. I don't even know this lingo. I don't even know what is Gen Alpha. All these are new words. What I know is that there is a future of this country, that there are young people in this country, that they are standing up, that they have already caused a disruption in the smooth journey of authoritarianism in this country. They have suddenly created a disruption. But disruption is not enough. Disruption must lead to transformation. But as their followers, if we give them strength, if we give them ideas, if we give them resources, if we give them time, if we give them courage, and if we take courage from them, then this disruptive moment can become a transformative moment, which is what we need and which is what I really, really hope we would be able to achieve. Thank you very much.